Hey everyone, welcome back to TBM Sports. Let's get it going. Let's talk about the big time ball game that we have coming up on Saturday. Probably the hottest game of the entire weekend, unless you are a domer like me, and we'll be cheering on the Fighting Irish on Sunday. Also, from a betting perspective, this is a game that's fairly interesting, okay? And we're going to talk about that. I'll give you guys my thoughts and insight. As always, this is week one. There will not be a lot of data to go off of, and anybody, quite frankly, with the way that the NIL is and the transfer portal, as well as the departures to the pro football side of the game, not going to use the past performances to dictate kind of what we're seeing here this year, okay? And I think that anybody who does say, okay, well, Team A was 19th in run defense last year in 2024, so we're going to have a lock here. I think they're a little bit mistaken, and we're going to try to talk about this game in its entirety. I'm going to give you guys some insight on both sides, some arguments for and against, and then also my opinion on the side and total and my best bet for the Ohio State Texas game between the Buckeyes and the Longhorns that I'm eagerly anticipating. Got a little $500 block pool thinking about getting into as well. We'll see if it's still available, but it's one that definitely have my sights set on this one. So let's talk about it. And for those of you that are new to the channel, hit that like button. Please subscribe down below. We are on the quest, okay? I think we're going to hit it. We're going to hit 10,000 subscribers probably by the time you guys all hit subscribe, but these are free picks. I appreciate the love, and if you can subscribe down below, it does mean the world to me. And be sure to turn on that notification bell because you never know where I'm going to be when we do go live, all that good stuff. But let's get into the Texas-Ohio State game, all right? And to do so, we are going to use Outlier. Like I said in all my videos, 7-day free trial. There is a link down below in the description to that, as well as my free Discord. I do suggest you check out both of those links. It's simply put one of the best tools out there in the sports betting world that will allow you to make better bets. And I could talk about it, but we're here to talk about the bets and the picks today. So do your own research on that on your own time. And let's talk about the Buckeyes and Longhorns. Now, this is very interesting. The reason why I say that is as we look into this game, we had the Longhorns touching 3 a lot over the course of the summer. As we all know, with week 1 games, we've had plenty of days and months to react, and with the sharps on kind of both sides of these big-time ball games. And that's something that I think a lot of people do fail to understand. They just want to look at one-sided movement. Well, I can pretty much assure you one thing, despite it being a noon kickoff, which I don't know why the hell they do that. Maybe it's crowd control. I personally heard from sources that it was Sarkisian trying to keep this one out of a primetime venue when he did agree to the home series. And this is kind of where we look into this game. We did touch 3 a lot, okay? And every time we did touch 3, we bounced off of that number. I'm going to talk about that because I do think it's relevant whether or not you guys will be on the Buckeyes or the Texas Longhorns, okay? You can see by the betting splits, the overwhelming amount of the handle is going to be on Texas, okay? Historically, both fan bases, I think, bring in a pretty good rake, and the Buckeyes, a national brand. Texas is more so located there in the South in the state of Texas, but the Buckeyes do have a national brand that a lot of time zones. So it is a noon kick, so I do suspect before midnight, or even say, Vegas time as we look at it, that's 9 a.m., okay? So it's going to be pretty much by the time that you guys go to bed, if you are on the East Coast, that this number will settle where it's going to be, okay? And anything left happens towards kickoff. That's not going to be some giant whale making a move here. They've had the whole summer to do so. That would be simply put either a crazy hedge, or more so it's going to be the books trying to level things out, in my opinion, okay? But that's kind of where we're at. And as I talked about it, there's going to be sharps on both sides of this game, okay? So whether or not you agree with the line movement or disagree with the line movement, this is the biggest handle of the weekend. This is the game that I think a lot of people have probably bet the most on over the course of the summer. It's a little bit of a kind of Rocky IV, if you will, within what we had last year in the playoffs, okay? I've had my eyes set on this. Notre Dame fan here, full disclosure, full transparency sake, don't kill me in the comments, but it's one that I don't root for any team. I root for that little green thing that keeps stacking up in my pocket. That's what we all root for. You got to be able to separate the emotions from your actual bets, okay? And I don't care if you're a Buckeyes fan. You got to be objective on this one, okay? You go down with the ship, sure. Nobody wants to piss away a unit this early in the season. Just because they wanted to have some fun with their buddies. Now, there is some fun coupon bets that we can be making out there. We'll talk about that one. I do have one long shot way to play this game we'll get to at the end of this video when I give you my best bets. Okay, but that's kind of where I'm at. Now, let's talk about the game, actually, as I do see a lot of movement here within this under, and we can see this number set at a 50.5 open, has seen some movement all the way down to 46.5. I do not think this will go below 45, but would not shock me if we did get movement to a flat 46, and that's kind of where I'm at. I can make the case for that pretty much. That's the best way that I would approach this total. I agree with the line movement. I think that with a hostile environment, early kick, a little bit of travel, sluggish week one, we've seen this kind of back and forth. I do think there will be a lot of running the football between two relatively young quarterbacks, between Arch Manning and Julian Sayin. It's going to be one that I think that Manning, albeit kind of just a complimentary role last year to Quinn Ewers and kind of just there in the reserve spot, I think it's going to be one where he does run the football a lot. And when you run the football, you know, you want to kind of make those one-look reads. You don't want to be getting your young quarterbacks out there kind of just with their back up against the wall early, having to make tough decisions in a primetime kind of hostile environment. I think it's going to be pretty much cut and dry. Buckeyes are going to stick to their approach. Yes, they do have Jeremiah Smith. They are going to be trying to obviously set up that play action and get him the ball behind the line of scrimmage, get him out in space, and have him use his ability to kind of make moves. And that's where we're going to talk about some of the props as well, if they're available, when, where you guys are located. Okay, so let's get into it. The one thing I will tell you guys, though, is Arch Manning, I think he is going to run the absolute hell out of the football. The one thing that does scare me within props, within rushing quarterbacks, is the fact that the sacks do count for loss of yardage, okay? So let's look at the player props here, and I will tell you guys how I'm going to bet this game. I told you I already like the under, but as we look into the rushing side of it, okay, if you want to talk Arch Manning rushing yards, that's where we're going to look at a 24.5 being that number, okay? I do think there is a very, very big argument to be made. He will have one rush, okay, one rush of over 24.5 yards. And that's kind of where, if you can find it, which I highly doubt they do offer that in the college football world. But if they do, it would not shock me, okay? And that's where you can see the longest pass completion, okay? But longest rush, this is one that is fairly interesting if you can find this. Right now, Prize Picks and Underdog, okay, two books that you can't really use. They are the only ones offering this. But if you can find a longest rush for Arch Manning, I do like that one quite a bit. The only thing that does kind of scare me is if he has a 16-yard sack, does that qualify in the opposite direction? I don't know. I never bet it in the college game. I do bet that a lot in the pro game. And that's where, personally, where I'm located. I do kind of look at props, but I can't bet it from a college standpoint unless I go to a place far, far away. Okay. So I do like the Arch Manning rushing, but one thing that I may end up making a trip across the border to get this one in at, I do think that if we look at the touchdown prop, okay, plus 180 for Arch Manning to get it into the end zone, scoring a touchdown. You can see this from all your favorite books. We do see FanDuel has the best number available, plus 180. That is a very, very significant value bet for me, okay? I like this one. Also, if we want to get into the receiving side of it, I'm not even going to talk about the Jeremiah Smith numbers because it is going to be one of those kind of Justin Jefferson, Randy Moss type kind of games, I believe, within what Julian Sayin is going to be doing. Would not shock me if they just tried to get the ball in his hands and out of the quarterback's hands as quickly as possible. All reports from training camp and preseason, all that leading up till today. The Buckeyes' young quarterback has not really kind of set the standard or met the standard that I think that has been set in years prior. But we've seen a lot of below the norm quarterbacks, right? Below the bar quarterbacks that have done well at the shoe, okay? You know, you can look at some of the quarterbacks for whether you love them or hate them. We can go back to Braxton Miller for all I care, okay? They can get the job done. You don't always have to be the best player on the field. Just make the right decisions, okay? So I do think the Buckeyes have a shot in this game. They are at home. They are the national champions, but I will have a banner-like mentality when approaching this game, okay? And I'll talk about that a little bit later as well. Now, as we do talk about kind of some of the receiving numbers, one receiver in specific I do like, and we're going to have to go down the board a little bit, it's Ryan Wingo, okay? This is a former five-star recruit coming out of high school, and as we see the number right now, 49.5, you can kind of look at this, and this is the last year performance, guys. He's never hit it over 49.5, but I do think there is an opportunity here with the turnover that Texas has had. He's the number one guy now, okay? It just takes one. The one thing about him is he can make a big play even bigger, and I do like what we are looking at with Ryan Wingo. You can talk about some of the Buckeyes defense last year. If we do look at the receiving yards allowed, third in college football. Now, a lot of that has to do with the fact that you play against subpar competition, you shrink the field. You could take a lot of that out of it too when you get to the quarterback relatively fast. And the Big Ten didn't really have a lot of offensive lines to kind of keep up with the pass rush of the Buckeyes, but you could see kind of how that changed a little bit in that in that semifinal game as the Longhorns played the Buckeyes. It was 28-14, okay? And one thing about it is in that game, Ryan Wingo did have 22 receiving yards. Now he's the number one guy. Very intriguing in a prop perspective, okay? And that's kind of where I look at it more so in specific for this game, okay? And we're going to go back and do some other props that I do like. My most favorite prop I do like is the touchdown for the likes of Arch Manning, okay? And one thing I'll kind of do on a sidebar here is talk to you about kind of what we have going on within Arch Manning. I will say, if you do like the Heisman market, okay, if you are a futures bettor, if you do want to take a stab at this game, an outside the box of way of betting it is, if you think the Buckeyes win, take Jeremiah Smith to win the Heisman, okay? If you think that the Longhorns win, you're going to want to take Arch Manning before noon tomorrow, because that will be a number that does shift a lot, okay? And when I say a lot, I would not be shocked if it goes to plus 300 or less, okay? Just how I see it, right? And I do think that if Texas does lose this game tomorrow, they will have a very likely, and I think same thing can go for LSU, okay? Texas and LSU, very intriguing, because if they drop the games tomorrow, okay, and I don't think Texas will, kind of give you a little teaser. I think this is one where it does take us to the conversation where one of those two teams might be on the outside looking in of a 12-team playoff format, because they could have 3 losses, okay? And that's just how I see it. Now, Texas, as we look at it, this is where we see the game on the road. Arch Manning, told you, I like his touchdown prop from a running standpoint. The one thing I kind of want to talk about the spread, and this is where you will see this game, I think, a little bit where we're even seeing it right now. Texas is now -1.5, okay? I told you guys that earlier in the week. Texas will probably be favored, or if the very, very least, this would have been a pick-up game by game time, okay? Now we're seeing the Longhorns -1.5. And earlier on in the week, I took a little bit of a fancy play, and a lot of you guys probably won't get down with it, but it is an interesting way to do it. And as we look at these alternate spreads here, I took Texas at a -12.5 price, okay? And it paid about plus 400 at the time, and that was the number I laid. Now, I took basically 4-1 on Texas to win by 13, and then alongside of that, I also took the Buckeyes on the money line, okay? And what that does is, if Ohio State wins, great, okay? But if Texas does win by 13 or more, we're going to end up profiting about 3 units on a simple kind of little... it's almost like a pre-flop hedge, if you will. Now, the reason why I say that is because there's no reason on earth that this game is just going to be a field goal either way. A 1-point game, a 2-point game. This is just to have equal money between two big fan bases that have high preseason rankings coming off and squaring against each other. This has no statistical basis. If the odds makers down there in the desert think that the Buckeyes are 10 points better than Texas, they are not going to make Ohio State -9.5. It just is not how it works. So when you see the spreads, it does not indicate which side and what the predicted score is. I know a lot of times it does end up that way, and we start kind of raising our eyebrows as somebody knows something. Okay, the fix is in, but more times than not, that does not happen. And this is a game in specific where I'd be very shocked if it ended up being a 1-score game. So that's a little bit of a long shot play I did have where I took Texas to win by 13 or more at almost 4-1. And then also I came back on the Buckeyes to kind of mitigate some of my risk. If Texas does win by less than 13, then yeah, sure, we did lose a little bit. But it's kind of a long shot way to play this, because deep down, I do think Texas gets this one done, and they could get it done with some margin. I just don't trust the Buckeyes. They are bringing back Sonny Styles, and they do have a freshman quarterback, a first-year quarterback, I should say. And then alongside that, Jeremiah Smith, maybe the best player in college football, probably is, in my opinion. And is that enough to go against a team that, coming off a loss to the Buckeyes, they're hungry? And then we have to raise the banner a little bit, okay? First game back after winning a national championship. Ohio State has not lost a football game in their home opener since 1999, okay? But guys, don't get it twisted. They're playing Grambling State next week, okay? So they had a lot of those openers as well. Now, this is kind of where it's not the same. So probably since 1999, there's probably been 4 or 5 or maybe even 6 games of kind of interest in a 25-year period where actually the home opener did matter, okay? So that's kind of what I'm looking at. I think Texas is the correct side. I agree with the line movement. It would be on the under. I'm not going to go chasing it down from 50 down to 46.5. Personally, I think it's a little bit unbettable right now at 46.5. We're below that key number of 47, 48, 49. So for me, guys, I think it's going to be a grinded out kind of not make mistakes kind of game. They will take their shots every once in a while, but for the most part, as it comes down to this, I think we get Texas winning. I do think that they are going to be victorious. Could be wrong, but my best bet for the Texas-Ohio State game, we're going to go Arch Manning plus 180 to score a touchdown, and also I will roll out a Texas. We're going to take them on the money line, okay? And that was kind of where I bet it. Full disclosure, I did know that the line was going to move, but I wanted to release this video a little bit closer to kickoff, and that way you guys could get the Thursday and the Friday games under your belt and kind of watch those videos before this one came out. So it's going to be hook 'em horns, and we're going to take the Longhorns here and the Arch Manning touchdown. Talked a little bit about that fancy play if you do want to take a little bit more risk. Longhorns minus 12.5, almost 4-1 there on that number as well, okay? Appreciate you guys for tuning in. If you have not hit that like button, please subscribe down below. Remember the links for the Discord and for Outlier. If you want to sign up with that 7-day free trial, you will find that in the description down below. Please leave me a comment. How are you guys betting this game? All right, if you're going with the Buckeyes, leave a OSU comment, and if you are going to pick the Longhorns, put them, hook them, or whatever you want to put it down below in the comments. But I appreciate you guys all tuning in, and we'll see you all in the next video. Good luck out there.